So you're thinking about moving to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you've seen a few homes that have caught your eye, but they happen to be in homeowners associations, aka an HOA, and that concerns you because you've heard some horror stories. Now, if you're not familiar with HOAs, or if you've lived in one in the past and you've had a bad experience, I can definitely understand why that concerns you. But I'm here to tell you that it's not always bad, and in this video I'm going to share some of the pros and cons of living in an HOA community. Hey, welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Nick, and on this channel I talk about things to do here in Myrtle Beach. I give tips and advice about the area, and of course I talk about the real estate. So if you are thinking about relocating to the area, then be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and tap the little notification bell while you're at it. This way you could be the first to know about what's going on here in Myrtle Beach. I get calls every single day from people just like you who are moving to the area, so if you ever have any questions, or if I can help you find home here at the beach, then I would love to chat with you. You can always use the first link, which is down in the description, to schedule a call with me. While searching for a home here in the greater Myrtle Beach area, you may have realized that we do have a lot of HOA communities. I would even go as far as to say that a majority of our homes are in these types of communities. So if you're looking for a home that is not in an HOA community, your choices may be a bit limited unless you're looking to move further away from the beach. But as I mentioned in the intro, living in an HOA is not always bad, and I'm here to share both sides of the story. One of the benefits of living in an HOA is that it helps keep your home value high. When you live in an HOA community, they're going to have certain rules and regulations to make sure all of the neighbors are upkeeping their home and their property. And when your neighbor's home looks good, it helps make the community more appealing, which in turn helps to make your home more appealing and keeps property values high. Now, what's the flip side to this? There are going to be certain rules and regulations in the community that you're going to have to follow, and you might not always agree with those specific rules and regulations. Some rules that many people have concerns about have to do with fencing, sheds, other yard modifications, and rental restrictions. For the fencing, for example, there aren't a lot of HOAs that completely restrict fencing. There are some that do, but for most cases, they're just going to limit the types of fencing that you can have. An example of this is if you live on a pond lot within a community, so you have views of a water feature, they are not going to allow you to have like a 6-foot privacy fence, for example. You're going to be limited to a aluminum black type fencing that allows for more visibility. This way you don't block the water view for your neighbors. People also often ask about sheds or being able to store a boat or an RV, and in most communities these things are not going to be allowed. This goes back to the uniformity and decluttering yards to help keep property values higher. And when it comes to doing other things to your yard and to your landscaping, the general rule of thumb is you're going to have to submit a written request for approval for things like adding a palm tree, adding a pool, or an outdoor kitchen. Pretty much anything that you want to do outside of your home, you're going to need approval for. Now, some HOA communities are extremely strict and are going to severely limit what you can and can't do to your yard. Others are so lenient that it seems like the rules don't even exist, but most are going to fall somewhere in the middle. And another rule that I get asked about all the time has to do with rentals, and this can be viewed as a positive or a negative one depending on who you are and how you look at it. When it comes to rentals, most HOAs are going to restrict short-term rentals, and they're only going to allow long-term rentals. Some communities define long-term rentals as more than 6 months, some define it as more than 12 months, but basically generally they are not going to allow nightly or weekly rentals, or basically what we consider a vacation rental. So if you're looking to do Airbnb, then an HOA community probably isn't going to be for you. If you're someone who is looking to live in this area during the winter months and then rent out your property during the summer months to help offset your cost, then you're probably going to view this rule as a negative. But if you're somebody who's living here full time, this is your home and where you are living, then you're probably going to view this as a positive, because this ensures that the rest of the homes on your street aren't going to turn into a business with people constantly coming and going. This next point almost nobody sees as a positive, and that is HOA dues or fees. Now, you may have heard some horror stories where somebody moved into a community, their HOA dues were $100 a month, and then the next year they immediately jumped up to $500 a month. But I'm here to tell you that this is usually not the case. Those stories are usually exaggerated, especially when it comes to single family homes. Now, I'm not saying that this cannot happen, and with condos and townhomes, things are a little bit different because the HOA dues do cover more things like the insurance and the maintenance of the building. And if insurance shoots up one year or a building needs emergency maintenance that the HOA doesn't have funds set aside for, they have to get paid somehow. So that can increase the HOA dues rather quickly. But again, this is usually not the case. And again, especially with single family homes. Now, this doesn't mean that the HOA dues for a single family home can't go up, and they probably still will go up over time, but this is usually minimal. Some common reasons that the HOA dues might go up for single family home communities is if your community has a pool within the neighborhood and that pool maintenance contract increases because maybe the cost of chemicals for that pool went up, that would increase your HOA dues. Same thing goes if there is a landscaping company that takes care of the entranceway and the cost of gas goes up, their contract might increase a little bit. But again, these are going to be minimal charges that go up each year. Now, why are these increases usually kept to a minimum? Well, here in South Carolina, we have things called capital contributions and working capital. These are one-time payments when you buy a house that automatically go into the reserve funds for an HOA versus the operating account. These reserve funds are set aside for big capital projects for the community. So for example, if the roof needs to be replaced on the clubhouse, those funds are already there and set aside for things like that, versus having to special assess the homeowners or increasing the HOA dues. Now, HOA dues are going to vary per community, and generally they are going to be higher for condos and townhomes, as I previously mentioned, but even with single family homes, there is going to be some variance from community to community. This is largely going to depend on what is included. Is it a gated community with private roads? Is there security? Is your internet and trash pickup included? Are there a bunch of amenities? The best thing to do is to decide what is important to you and what you are willing to pay for and what you're not willing to pay for. And that leads me into my last point about living in HOA communities, which is that you usually have certain perks and amenities. This can be pools, clubhouses, fitness centers, pickleball courts, and more that are all included in your HOA dues and you get to utilize. And if things like trash pickup and internet are included in your HOA dues, this usually means that you're getting a group discount, so you're going to be paying significantly less than you would be if you had to pay for those things on your own, which is always nice. Now, do the pros outweigh the cons, and is it worth living in an HOA? Well, that's up for you to decide. I think one of the biggest downsides to living in an HOA is the rules and regulations, but for most, a lot of those specific rules are not going to matter to you, so I think that it's worth it. But if you're somebody who has a boat, let's say, and keeping that boat within your yard is important to you, then those rules might not make sense to you and living in an HOA might not be for you. But either way, I hope this video helped you out. If it did, I'd appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button down below. And if you're ready to find your home here at the beach, then I would love to be the one to help you out. You can always use the first link down in the description to schedule a call with me. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.